This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike. Talking sixes in the bird gang, that's our life. Competition, we ain't scared, yeah, that's what we like. Win or lose, you know we showing up and we gon' fight. You see we strive for the sky every day that go by. And every single week we screaming fly, eagles fly. This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike, yeah. This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Talk podcast, and we are back with another live stream. Do me a favor, if you're new watching this on a rerun, hit that like button, subscribe. On the road to 20K, we got a special guest, ex-Eagle tight end and special teamer, Clay Harbor. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Appreciate you having me on. I love talking ball. I love talking birds. So let's do it.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, some of the people in the chat already before we got on want to hear about the Bachelorette a little bit, asking
I
if you
knew
got a
it.
hookup to get some of the commenters on the show. I'm just kidding, but overall, how do you feel, real quick? Eagles made the playoffs. First year quarterback, first year head coach. A lot of question marks. Rough early season, strong finish, depending on how you take it with the opponents we play, but you can only play who's on the schedule. Got beat in the playoffs, and now we address off season. But what was your overall thought just going into there and transitioning into free agency?
I thought the Eagles were trending up. Gannon. People were calling for Gannon's head at the beginning of the season. He had a few losses in a row. They're sitting there. They're a couple games below 500. A few games below 500. Don't look like they have a chance to make the playoffs. People are calling for his head. I think he did a great job. Making a comeback, making the playoffs. Obviously, you want to see him go a little bit further. 9-8. 9-9. At the end of the year, 500 team there. But I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited. Jalen Hurts, it's his second season. His first season as a full-time starter. I thought there's a lot of positives to take from this season. I think Eagles are trending in the right direction. I think they got, Howie did work some magic, and now they got a 15, a 16, and a 19 pick in the first round. That's incredible. I'm excited to see what they do with those picks. And then they got the rest of the picks, second, third, fourth, fifth rounders. They got some cap space to work with. They can get some big name guys in here if they want to, or just build through the draft. You don't know what Howie's thinking, but I think the Eagles are trending up. I'm happy with how they ended the season. Obviously, you wanted to see a little more, maybe a playoff victory, but I think it was a good season overall.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny that I have a video. So, on YouTube, I don't race on my videos. So either I can go back and say I was dead on or I was dead wrong. And I predicted the Eagles go 9-8. And it hit that exactly where it was. I didn't, predict each game and all that, right? We ended up sitting our guys against the Dallas Cowboys at the end for the right reasons. But a solid season, and my 9-8 was my optimistic if things start to go right. And I wasn't really feeling that in the early part of the season, and there was some downs as much as there were ups, but I think you hit it on the nose. I think we're definitely trending up, and that's where you want to be going into free agency. Let me ask you, Steven Nelson, Ronnie McLeod, Anthony Harris, the defense has a lot of the older guys and a lot of free agents. If there's somebody out there that's a free agent as an Eagle right now, the McLeods, the Nelsons, the Harrises, whether Barnett is a free agent. Do you think there's somebody that the Eagles have to make it an importance to bring back at least for 1 year?
I like Rodney McLeod. I like Anthony Harris, and I like Steven Nelson. I got him. I took some notes before what I want to talk about as far as free agents, as far as getting guys back here. I know Boston Scott's restricted. I feel like they'll bring him back. He came on late, but I like McLeod. It's hard to find good defensive backs out there. Guys can cover. He knows the system. He's performed well over the years, and he's a good locker room guy. I know a lot of guys have spent time with him. They like him. I've got to meet him myself. He's a good dude, and he's a good player. So I want to make sure, Rodney gets back. I'd like to see Anthony Harris as well, and even Steven Nelson. But if we only do one, I'm gonna go with Rodney.
Yeah, I agree. If there's one guy, I think Ronnie, just because of, he did trend upwards at the end of the season. He was coming off an injury as well. And he's a guy that, when you look at leaders on this team, he's one of the few that are remaining from the Super Bowl. You got Fletch there and BG, who we desperately missed all season, who looks to be coming back and see what shape he's in. He's finally lifting heavy weights, which is a good sign. But, Steven Nelson, for as much as Eagle fans like to downplay his year, I think for what he was paid to do, he executed as a second cornerback on his team. No cornerback in the NFL is going to have a unmarked season. This is a passing league, and all the rules, have changed to make it where the DBs can't really do much. The game is meant for them to get beat. It's how much you allow it and how quick you forget and get back and play the next play and tackle. I agree with you there. On the offensive side, you talked about Boston Scott. The running back room is pretty filled. Miles Sanders is a player who actually, needs probably an extension this offseason, or he goes next year into free agency. What do you think about Miles Sanders and just the backs in general when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles? Kenneth Gainwell, Howard, and Scott.
I like them all. I like Gainwell. I like Howard. I like Scott. I think, Boston Scott's restricted this year. I think to bring him back. And I know Booby Sanders is you want to get a deal done this year. But, I want to see how he recovers, see how his rehab's going. I know he got injured there. I want to see how he's running in the offseason. And see how he does, maybe, see how he's doing in the offseason before you give him a new contract. And, running, we love our running game. Obviously, there's been a lot said about the Eagles running game, how they had one of the best rushing teams in team history. And obviously with a running quarterback, that obviously helps his stats. But these running backs had a lot to do with it. Jordan Howard, I know he's on and off the practice squad, but I think he's a reliable guy. To me, it's unbelievable how the guy was on the practice squad to where they can, nobody wanted him. All the running back, needs we had in the league, nobody wanted to pick Jordan Howard up. But, I think I like our running back crew, but I think that's with a draft like this, and I think running backs is a position where you can get a lot of guys in the draft. You can find some guys in free agency a little bit later. I think you can plug them into that room with this system. I think you can have a lot of guys be successful. But I definitely want to see Miles back.
Now, let me ask you, being a former player, being a guy who's been in negotiations, talks, and stuff like that, there's so much untapped potential, I feel, with Miles Sanders, right? You see the electricity in his runs. Not last year, but the year before, he had 3 touchdowns of 70-plus yards. For a running back, that just doesn't happen all the time. Home run hitter. Last year, it's crazy that he did not record a touchdown. He did not have a touchdown at all. Also had to do with him missing time, splitting carries with Howard and Gainwell, and also Jalen Hurts being a red zone threat his own. But do you think it would be wise for both camps, the Eagles and Miles Sanders camps, to come to somewhat, not a team-friendly deal where he's getting screwed over, but something along the lines where, he can prove himself a little bit? Because, running backs, as you said, they're starting to be like that plug and play. If you got a good offensive line, I'm not saying that the running back position is going out, and I can't do it, so I'm not trying to just squash them like that. Get that. I'm a pro player. I'm pro player. But at the end of the day, if you were talking to him, seeing what he came off his season, knowing that how much the Eagle fans passion on it, what would you kind of say in the sense of, man, would you take a team-friendly deal?
No, Miles Sanders, he's got to realize that the life expectancy for a running back isn't that long, right? And he needs to get this deal in for him, his family. You want to get the second, third deal. It's all the guys in the NFL. That's what you want to do. You're playing for that second deal, for that third deal. That first rookie contract, unless you're a first rounder, you still don't got that type of money that's really going to change your life, going to change your family's life. And as a player, that's how we think. And you want to take that safe money. I know he's been injured, and as running back, every play could be your last play. Your time frame, your life expectancy as a running back compared to a tight end, compared to an offensive lineman, compared to even a wide receiver, quarterback, is very low. Your life expectancy is low. You're taking hits every play. You're picking up blitzers. It's a tough position. You need to take that money, take that contract if you're Miles Sanders, and get something done. At least if I was him, that's a perspective I would have. And for the Eagles, you see this guy's explosive. I know Jalen Hurts took a lot of touchdowns last year. You're in the red zone, short yardage situation. You got a guy like Jalen Hurts. Let's utilize him. Let's not hand the ball off. Let's use an extra blocker instead. Makes sense. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but he did take a lot of his touchdowns. So statistically, he doesn't got as much, ammunition going into free agency, because a lot of these teams will use that. Hey, statistically, you had this many touchdowns, this many carries. I'm going to pay you this much. I'm going to pay you like a guy that has that. So it's a little bit of give and take when you're running back. But I think that very correct in saying that you should get something done if you're both camps. I think that it's a win-win.
Yeah. When you look at like the top tier backs, like the Alvin Kamara's, the Christian McCaffreys, the Derrick Henrys, they've been able to produce at a crazy level. But there's something about it as an organization. And again, I'm always pro player that when these guys got paid, Ezekiel Elliott, you didn't, you're kind of giving them that contract for what they did, but at that time you're giving the contract, they're not going to be able to sustain what you're paying them for. So I think, Howie Roseman and Miles Sanders, if they get together and they really on the same page, and you're trying to be like, a little bit higher than mid-level. Like I love the Josh Sweat signing, right? That signing was perfect. He actually paid him in the range of a guy who's going to get you 8 to 9 sacks, and that's exactly what Josh Sweat did in his first year. And for a 4th round pick, Josh Sweat, really bursted on the scenes. I know you were a 4th round pick as well. I'm just ready to see, the run game take shape. I've been saying every year it's breakout season for Miles Sanders because of the explosiveness. And I do think that both camps couldn't find a way to keep him an Eagle. I know Kenneth Gainwell getting drafted in the 5th round, who kind of fits his skill set, can play a part as well. We'll just have to see where that goes. Real quick, free agency, not named the Eagles, like what the Eagles have and where they're lacking. With Howie Roseman, restructuring some guys, Brandon Brooks retiring. Who would you like to see suit up in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform that's somewhere else in the league right now who's on the market?
All right, I know we got Goedert, Devonta Smith. I think Quez Watkins had a decent year there. I think Jalen Reagor never really panned out. And I don't know how he's going to be able to come back after some of the games he had to Philly. I know there's been a lot of people not happy with the way he's played. The guy, it's going to be tough for him to play in Philly anymore.
It is.
Feel bad for the guy. But that being said, I researched some of my wide receivers, and that's what I really looked at here in free agency. I know we could use an inside linebacker, to go with TJ Edwards. I really like him. I think we could use another linebacker. I think we could use another edge rusher. I think they're going to use that in the draft, though. But wide receivers, I think we got a good young receiver. I think it would be perfect to bring in a veteran guy. So I think that being said, Sammy Watkins is a guy that's unrestricted free agent. He's a veteran. He can tutor Devontae a little bit. He's got amazing hands. He runs crisp routes. He's not as explosive as he once was. Veteran guy, you bring in Sammy Watkins. Obviously, Devonta Adams might get franchise. He's a superstar. Obviously, that's beautiful world. It'd be great to have a guy like him. Chris Godwin, coming off of an injury for Tampa, he's rehabbing. You might be able to get him at a discount. He's a hardworking guy. He'll probably be able to come back 100%. I really like the way he plays. Tom Brady, he was one of Tom Brady's favorite guys. Tom Brady talked about how smart he was, how he ran good routes. He loved Chris Godwin. And then if you're looking for a slot guy, Devontae works outside, inside, and I know you got Goddard, but you put Christian Kirk, in the slot. I think he's a guy that can make a lot of plays. Maybe even like a DJ Clark from the Jaguars, a tall, lanky guy. He's had some injury problems. Could probably get him at a discount. This guy is Allen Robinson, a guy to pair up with Devontae. Allen Robinson, I played with him in Jacksonville. The guy is explosive. He runs great routes. He doesn't have the best natural hands, but he makes up for it with the big frame. So I think those are all guys that could complement Devontae, Goddard, and really help, Jalen Hurts become the type of quarterback that everybody in Philly wants him to become.
Yeah, I pretty much had a lot of the guys you said on my radar as well. Sammy Watkins was one I didn't think of. But yeah, sometimes you get that veteran in here who's in Sammy Watkins area, he might even be able, he knows that at this point of his career, he'll take the back seat to Devonta Smith. You get a guy like Godwin, you go out there and spend that money. Now, Adams is a dream come true, but he about to break the bank for wide receiver. If he doesn't get franchise tag, if we thought Amari Cooper's 20 mil, Michael Thomas is 19 mil, this man gonna be in the mid-20s if a team really wants his services.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So, yeah, you always got to be. That's what he's going to do. He's going to come to the table and say, Michael Thomas is good, Amari Cooper good. They're getting 20 million, but they're good. But I'm Devontae Adams. Now they'll try to argue, well, you won't have Aaron Rodgers throwing you the ball. We'll see where them negotiations go. But yeah, I like all them guys. just a guy who can come in there because the wide receiver room is so young. I mean,
Yeah.
from Devontae to Jalen, who's definitely going through the roughest of times on and off the field, it looks like. And then you got a guy like Quez Watkins, who to me made a big splash coming out of the draft as a 6th-round target, beat out the 5th-round target that was we drafted John Hightower in the 5th and Quez in the 6th. Quez is on the roster, John Hightower is not. And then again, 6th-round pick had double the yardage of Jalen Reagor as the 1st-round pick, and he's actually been our big play guy. I like him in the screen game and all that, so he's coming along too. To me, if he's your 3rd best receiver, it's good. But when you ask him to be 2nd at this early in his career, I think it's a little bit too much. So I definitely agree. Free agency, the wide receiver is the perfect thing. I think if you can't keep the safeties, you can go look at one of your Marcus Williams from the Saints.
Yeah. If you want to get an edge guy, Von Miller's out there. I mean, that's a tough one to grab. You got Chandler Jones, a veteran presence. If you really want, a pass rusher, that knows the game. If you want a defensive back, you got J.C. Jackson from the Patriots is a guy I like. Receiver Mike Williams. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, and I think the Eagles got some money to spend, but obviously they're spent, draft. I want to see what they do in free agency, because that'll give you a better idea what they do with the draft, and it'll all clear out.
Yeah, that is 100% true. If anybody who's talking about wide receiver in the draft with 1 to 3 1st-round picks, if you go get a veteran, that kind of nips that in the bud. And same vice versa, if you go, secondary, I like Emmanuel Agba from the Miami Dolphins too. A solid guy.
Absolutely.
He's not like going to go off the wall with double-digit sacks, but 9 sacks back-to-back seasons. I think we can use him as well. Real quick, though, shout out to Michael Fedler with the $20 donation. Appreciate you in the chat. Got close to 100 in here. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I don't normally stream this early, but it's good to have you on. Real quick, before we move on to the draft, let's address the tweet that got a lot of Eagle fans, a little butthurt on Twitter. So one of the Eagle fan sites say, let me get the exact words of what they said. So one of the Eagle fan sites said, drop an Eagles opinion that will make people react like this. And it got that, that guy from one of the Disney movies who's like what? Shocked, right? So that's the thing. So Clay Harbor said, you know what? Let me give my take on what would make Eagle fans raise their eyebrows. He said Devonta Smith is not a superstar receiver. That's it, right? Devonta Smith is not a superstar receiver. So, of course, the mentions got filled up. What? He got 900 yards. But elaborate a little bit more of, your take on it. Trying to raise eyebrows. That was the deal. And then where you fall on it, how you feel about him in totality.
I got to say, to the Philly fans, I love you guys. You guys will stick behind your players, because I've been getting murdered by y'all for that statement saying Devonta is not a superstar. I appreciate you guys having your guys back. He fought for y'all this year. He had a great year for a rookie. He had 900 yards, 60 catches, 5 touchdowns. Those are solid numbers. I'm not saying Devonta Smith had a bad season by any means. I think he had a great season. I'm just saying he's not a superstar yet. I think there's a possibility he gets there. I said a couple things. I said he doesn't catch with his hands naturally, and I said he runs inconsistent routes. And when I think of inconsistent routes, I've seen Devonta Smith run some routes that have spun defensive backs like a screw, like a top, spun them in the top in the ground. The guy's got some unbelievable routes, but then the next route, I'll see him round at the top of a dig route. I'll see him like, why is he so he's a rookie. You got to realize that he's a rookie. I've seen some, I've played with Michael Thomas. I've played with Deshaun Jackson. I've played with Marvin Jones. I've played with Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski. I've seen these guys up close, Macklin, Jason Avant. I've seen these guys work, and I know what consistent route running look like. I know what consistent hands catching looks like. And I think he can get there. He probably will if, I've heard he's a hard worker, but this last season he was not a superstar receiver. He was the number 1 receiver. He had 900 yards. He had 5 touchdowns and 60 catches. He was not in the top 30 in any of those categories in the league as a number 1 receiver. So, you're getting those looks, and obviously a lot of people are saying, well, hey, Jalen wasn't having the strongest season. I agree. Jalen has a lot to work on in his passing game. He uses his legs a lot when he might have guys open downfield. But this last season, I didn't think of him as a superstar receiver. I think he's a very good receiver. I think he's got a ton of upside with his quickness, his routes, gets more consistent. But I think he will be a great receiver. Right now, if you're a superstar, to me, you're in the top 10 of your position. He is not there. To me, I mean, what's your definition of a superstar? To me, it's top 10 in your position. Your superstar tight end, Dallas Goedert, he's on the cusp, you know. He's almost top 10, I don't know. You know, he's getting there. He's right there in that range. Devonta isn't that close to being top 10 as a wide receiver in the league. And, you know, I think he's 20 to 30 in that range, but I think he's getting better. So when I said, I'm not apologizing, Eagles fans. I'm explaining myself. I think he's a great player. He had a hell of a year, tough guy. I'm not dogging your guys' receiver, your guys' number one, but he's not a superstar yet.
Hey, fair. That's a fair assessment, and I like how you brought into Jalen Hurts. Listen, I'm a guy who wants to see Jalen Hurts come back a season because I'm all for the development. We'll talk a little bit about that more in depth before we get up out of here. But you know, a lot of all 22 studies that go on Twitter, YouTube. I do some myself. There is times where, like, you know, a different quarterback could have gave him a better opportunity, but you can only assess what is accessible in the situation. You know, for being the number one rushing team in the NFL, while also having a quarterback who's limited in, you know, finding the single coverage and exploiting the mismatch at times. I think he's done a great job. Again, we got the curse of not being able to have a receiver over 1,000 yards. It hasn't been since 2014, and that was Jeremy Maclin was the last one. We had Zach Ertz, a tight end get over 1,000 yards, but a receiver, the last
since
receiver
2014
was Jeremy Maclin. Yes.
Wow, J-Mac back in 2014, huh?
And so that's why Eagle fans got on the Devonta Smith thing, for the simple fact that we thought he was going to be the one to break it. And, you know, deep down, I think Jalen Hurts is one of the, you know, controversious topics when it comes to Philadelphia Eagles, right?
He's so polarizing.
Correct. And you got people who want to wait for the development and or wait for the development to see if he can do it or believe he can do it. And you got some people who see the all 22, and then the guys who point out how open Devonta Smith is and just say that it's not fair. Again, these are people talking as a fan, and so am I, right? So, you know, we can go up and beyond. And so when people see that, they think like, did you not watch? He would have had X amount of yards if da-da-da-da-da. But I agree, you can only assess what is there. And I like the trajectory of the Eagles, including Devonta Smith. And hopefully, you know, we could come back a year later and be like, he just cracked the top 10. As for tight ends, though, I got to say, I think Dallas Goedert is clearly a top 10, mainly because tight ends are not, I mean, the Kelce's, the Kittles, even Waller and the dude from the Ravens, Andrews. I think they're all clear cut ahead of Dallas Goedert, but after that, I don't really know who we could put up in there. You know what I mean? Zach Ertz, of course, you know, I got mad love for him in Arizona, but on the downish side of his career. So, you know, I think Dallas Goedert is close, you know, 6, 5-ish, 7 at the latest.
When I get done here, I'm gonna do some research. I like Goedert. I think that Goedert's a playmaker. I think he's not afraid to mix it up. When I see a tight end that don't like to block at all, that hurts me. And that ain't Goedert. Goedert likes to block. He's a full tight end. He'll go up and get the ball. You know, you might have a slip up here or there. He dropped a couple easy balls late in the season, but I think Goedert's got good hands. He runs good routes, and I think if he's not, he's right there on the cusp of that top, you know, that top 10. So I'm not going to say he's not there. I would need to go research and really rank my guys and see where I have them. Because, you know, I pay attention to my tight ends out there. I have to, man. That's my stuff right there.
Got to. Yeah. And like I said, you know, again, I don't have his numbers off the top of my head. He was definitely our second leading receiver. But at the end of the day, you know, the numbers a little swindled. But I think as a complete tight end, you know, you got to be able to catch and, of course, block. And you know, that's why Kittle's so good, because he's not only just a catcher, he's a fierce blocker, probably the best blocking tight end in the game right now. Kittle might be one of them guys. So let's talk about the draft real quick, right? We got 3 first-round picks. I know you mentioned linebacker. We talked receiver and free agency. If you are the Eagles, knowing some of the holes we got, one, do you think we use all first-round picks? And if we do, kind of where you want to go if you don't got a certain name that you, because again, it's all speculation who's going to be on the board. You can do 1,000 mock drafts and they can all be wrong, right? A guy you thought was going at 19 goes at 9. The draft is unpredictable, but just kind of speculation who might be there, knowing a little bit about NFL drafts yourself. Where do you see the Eagles going with these 3 first-round picks?
So I wrote down a few guys that I would like to see, but I mean, that's saying I don't know. They might not be there, but I'm not going to say his name, but David Ajabo, the edge guy from Michigan. He's 6'5", he's 250 pounds. He grew up in Scotland, playing the guy's a beast. I think that he would be a great addition. I think that another edge rusher from Purdue. You got George Carl Laftis, he's 6'4", 275, big guy. I think they go defense. I also got written down here Andrew Booth, the cornerback from Clemson. Athlete, guy's got good ball skills, 6 foot, 200 pounds, a good size. He's a good size quarterback guy that can mix up a little bit. I also got DeMarvin Leal, the D tackle, 6'4", 290 from Texas A&M. He's a guy that I think could really stuff the run, could help that run game, stop that pack, make TJ Edwards and some of those other guys have a little more space, be able to play a little bit better. I think they go defense with the draft. And I mean, if they wanted to do something crazy, maybe you try if he's still on the board, you can go for Treylon Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas, 6'3", 225 pounds. He's got size, speed. He had 1,000 yards, 66 catches. He also had 14 carries for 112 yards, and he had 12 touchdowns. I mean, there's some big boys out there, and some good offensive linemen early too. So there's so many different. When you have 3 first-round picks, it's like you can go so many different directions there. One guy, I think, if you want an offensive tackle, will be there late in the first, maybe second round. A guy from my conference, the Missouri Valley Conference, a dude from Northern Iowa. Talked to one of my old coaches about him at Missouri State. They had to play against him. I said, the guy's a beast. He's athletic. His name's Trevor Penning. He's an offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. He was a redshirt senior, 6'7", 340 pounds. He's he's coming from a lower level, but Missouri Valley football has good competition. I think that he's a guy that if they want to get in the O-line, that could be a little bit of a sleeper in that lower first, early, lower second round, maybe something like that.
Yeah. When you look at the draft, right, you're always excited for the first round down to the second. But we've seen time and time again, guys get picked out of the 4th round, the 5th round, the 6th round, and be studs. One of the greatest players of all time, or the greatest player of all time. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th. You got Russell Wilson in the 3rd. You got the Clay Harbors in the 4th. You know what I mean? The Josh Sweats in the 4th. So you know what I mean? You get some hard workers in the draft at all levels of the draft. So, sometimes people just, fall out because of one little thing in the past or, an injury that might not be able to, and things change. Like Tom Brady never, when he had that injury, we was out all season, a lot of quarterbacks just never come back from that. He didn't miss a beat, and he retired multiple years later with more Super Bowls. So you just never know what an injury is going to do. You're fearful of it coming back, but we've seen people be one and done when it comes to the injury part of their career. Let me ask you, though. Now, this is another hot topic in Philadelphia Eagle Nation, right? Quarterback, right? You like to see Jalen Hurts here again. You say trending upwards. He got things to work on, of course, anticipation, accuracy, ball placement, mechanics. Do you see, or do you think it's smart, the Eagles to go ahead and try to mortgage some of these first round picks and go get, the 2 names that always pop up is a Deshaun Watson or a Russell Wilson? They got no trade clause, and you would have to convince them, and you would have to give up capital and some other stuff. But what is your take on that? If you were invited into the organization to say, what do you think we should do? What would you do?
First off, I heard the guy, what was his name, talking about giving up, all 3 first-round picks. I'm like, dude.
Colin Hurd.
Stop, bro. Stop. We're not giving up all those picks for Russell Wilson. No chance. I don't care. Maybe it's Mahomes. For Mahomes, you would do that. But that's about it. But, I mean, I want to give Jalen one more year. And obviously, Russell Wilson didn't even have that good of a year. Deshaun Watson sat out for a whole season. I know he's super talented, but look at his last season. He had a great year, but great numbers. But I mean,
They
4
won 4
wins.
games.
They won 4 games. So what are we doing? I wouldn't do that when we got a guy like when we got Jalen Hurts here. But I think maybe you could draft a second round quarterback if Carson Strong is sitting there in the second round from Nevada.
You try to repeat. You're gonna do. We're doing it. We're going to live the
Doing
same
to
recipe
him,
over, right?
yeah, what he did for Wentz. Absolutely. Desmond Riddler, the quarterback from Cincy in the second round. Maybe third round you could find somebody, but I mean, unless you're going out free agency and you're really finding a big name guy, but I think you got to give Jalen Hurts one more season here.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I know the NFL is trending to like the passing league heavy, and it's also trending to we got to win now. Coaches and quarterbacks got so little time to prove what they can do. A coach got to instill a culture, right? And a quarterback at a young age, 23 years old, especially when in his conference and when he played in Oklahoma, he relied on his legs, right? That instinct to run is still in the back of his head, and that's why he has to get worked out of it. This is the NFL. These linebackers are faster. They close on you. Defensive coordinators understand what you do more via the tape, and they got the personnel to stop what you're doing. So I think he needs to see NFL defenses again. He needs to adjust. He needs to have the offseason of not only like the first offseason he had it, but now he says, wow, look what Todd Bowles did to me twice. Look what some of these D coordinators did to me. Look what I got to get better at. And I just feel like he needs that. And I don't think we're in a position right now. One thing I say, look, a good quarterback can do things for you. No doubt about it, right? I think the quarterback position is so iffy. Look at Matthew Stafford. He gets, for his whole career, he got treated as like a big arm, but is he really that good? And he proved with just a team that is worthy, which the Rams are pretty stacked. We're not going to lie, but he goes from never making a playoff, never beating a playoff team to winning the Super Bowl. So I think all that plays, but if you give everything up for a quarterback, right? If you compare Deshaun Watson and the Texans roster in 2020 to the Philadelphia Eagles roster now, especially if we lose some of the guys like McLeod and Nelson, and we don't really address that because now our cap space is going to the quarterback, right? So if you look at the Texans, not last year, they were bottom of the food chain last year, but in 2020 Texans Eagles roster, if we lose some people, if you think it's not that far off, we have the stats, but we won't have the win. So I think you just got to consider everything. And with the way the Eagles handled the quarterback situation the last couple years, you shouldn't be so quick to jump the gun. That's kind of what put us in the situation we are in. I'm not saying Carson Wentz shouldn't have rose above it. You know what I mean? Because, I was once a huge fan to more of a go ahead. I'm glad the Colts got it. But I think you need to have some stability at that position.
Absolutely, and it's honestly it is tough when you're playing and there's a guy just sitting back there waiting for you to mess up and hoping to get put in the game. But I think you got to give Jalen Hurts another year. I think he's got his work cut out for him. But like you said, man, I don't want to give up a bunch of guys to get these quarterbacks, and Stafford winning the Super Bowl does prove that. It's a lot of it has to do with the people around you and not so much exactly how much you can put a team on your back and carry a team, to victory. I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers, he couldn't do it, and he's one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Exactly. See, and I tread both lines when it comes to that, right? So Matthew Stafford, great quarterback, couldn't get it done in Detroit. 1 year, gets done with the Rams. Aaron Rodgers, great quarterback, but if the run game ain't right, the defense ain't right, blah, 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 blah. He's a guy who hasn't got back to the Super Bowl. MVPs, won Super Bowl, but you would think he'd be in the game as much as the other greats, the Mannings and the Bradys. But one thing, if you look at the Mannings teams and the Brady's team, as much as we want to credit Brady, he's had a top 10 defense for the majority of his career and New England and stuff. But I will say this too. As we did talk about Devonta Smith, let's go to Cooper Kupp for a second, right? Who I think just balled out this year. If you go back to Cooper Kupp with Jared Goff, he was a regular guy. He had 906. He had 900 and something yards and a handful of touchdowns. So you take out Goff, you put in Matthew Stafford. He goes he run the triple crown: touchdowns, receptions, and yards. But it's crazy. Jared Goff got to the Super Bowl, and Cooper Kupp was a top 20-ish type receiver with
Yeah.
Jared Goff. He turned to the man with the quarterback. So I think a lot of positions, it's the ultimate team game, right? Basketball, you could take over on both sides of the ball. Baseball, you hit the home runs. You can do that if you're a certain place in the lineup. But football is just the ultimate team sport, and you got to build a football team. And you can change. You can go, unless you're the New York Giants, where you're always on the bottom, right? You can turn things around quickly. And so I agree with you in the sense of let's ride out with these picks.
No, I agree. I think we got a lot of them, and Howie did some great things to to get those picks. So I think we ride out with them. We see what happens. I mean, like I said, Aaron Rodgers got beat by Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo had the better team. So,
real quick, though, what's your take on Jimmy G, his market? Like, because there was faint rumors about, well, if the Eagles can't go get a big one, maybe a second and a third can acquire a guy like Jimmy G. There's an upgrade in passing from Jimmy G to Jalen Hurts, but do you think Jimmy G giving up, not first round pick capital, but still some capital, would you think it would you do it, is what I'm trying to ask?
I don't think so. I think Jalen Hurts and Jimmy G are too close together to to really give up anything for him. I know, free agency trade, whatever, but I think it could be an interesting competition there. But I mean, Gardner Minshew, I think, is a solid quarterback too. If you really want competition, just say, hey, this is an open competition here, and we're going to play the best quarterback. Like Gardner has a chance to play. Say something like that.
Yeah, look, I don't hate Jimmy G by any means. He's a winner, but again, it proves that Matthew Stafford wasn't a winner because of his team. Got a team and he's a winner. And Jimmy G played his cards right to get the NFC championships and the Super Bowl, but when he needed to make a play, he didn't. And I think as we sit right now, Jimmy G is the better quarterback, no doubt about it, but I don't think the jump, as you said, is too big. If you classify right now Jalen Hurts the 25th best quarterback in the NFL, right? 23, yeah. 24, 25. If Jimmy G's sitting here at number 19 or 20, you're going to give up capital to go up 4 or 5 spots. That's where I won't do it, because I think with a team like the Eagles, Jimmy G now doesn't fall, he falls back too.
Oh, I thought you
okay. Go ahead and handle your business.
No. Yeah, sorry. You see the time online.
Oh, this is still 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said we haven't.
Oh, yeah, I looked online. The sign said 6 p.m. Cool.
It's all good. Handle your business, my guy.
No, but we just have to wrap up. But no, I think that you want to keep Jalen over going with going for Jimmy G. I think they're too close together on to really make the switch there. Give up anything for him. Build around him. He's a system type guy. You can have a lot of cool plays with him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to you for coming on. Maybe as we get closer to the season, as the season comes through and we got some really good stuff to talk about, we can get you on again. Appreciate you for coming on. Hey, everybody in the chat, go follow him at Clay Harbs 82. 9-year career, 4th round draft pick, 3 years with the Vic Jackson and Shady McCoy tandem. He had some Brett Selleck in front of him. You know what I mean? Once an Eagle, always Eagle. Appreciate you for coming on. You got anything to say to these guys before you get out of here?
No, Mike, appreciate you having me on, man. Sorry, guys, about the mix-up there. Appreciate you having me on. Let's do it again for sure, man. I'm available. I love talking birds. I'm glad I got to clear up the Devonta Smith stuff. I think he's a great player. And, anytime, Mike, have me on. I love talking birds, man.
All right. Catch you next time. Peace.
All right. Later, bro.
So we're going to get up off here. I just wanted to talk to y'all for a quick second. Shout out to everybody who came through. 100 people in the chat. If you haven't hit that like button, hit the like button for your boy. It's free, it's easy, and it don't cost a thing. Once again, Clay Harbor said on Twitter, an Eagle site, right? An Eagle Twitter account called Eagle Nations said, drop an Eagle opinion that will make people react like this, like raise their eyebrow, right? And so Clay Harbor said Devonta Smith is not a superstar receiver. He said he's a very good receiver. He understands that Jalen Hurts could have limited him. But at the end of the day, the stats are the stats, and he's not top 10 yet. and so he's not a superstar receiver. And again, he was only saying that not to really just come out and throw shade, but it was one of them things that say something that you believe will raise the eyes of Eagle Nation. And so it is what it is. I told him the same way. Like, look, Devonta Smith is going to be the first receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles to get 1,000 yards. I do think Jalen Hurts, of course, us being the number one rushing team for multiple reasons, because we got a good offensive line and because it tailors to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts left a lot of meat on the bone this season. By no means am I saying he's a quarterback that I say that, oh, yeah, I'm ready to see him, that he's automatically going to take the next step. I just think that where we are as an organization with the youth on offense and the oldness on defense and the uncertainty in certain positions, especially our defensive line, I think that you got to run it back with Jalen for one more year. But by no means, if Jalen Hurts in next year's season is showing me that he went backwards or it's taken to, he's just physically staying the same, well, then I'm going to be on board to upgrade because I rock with the Shield. As much as I love players and we ride for them, like Clay Harbor said, I'm going to always follow the Shield. It is what it is. I lost my, to me, McNabb is still my favorite guy. Nick Foles got me the ring. McNabb is my guy. And I know he suffered through some things, but appreciate y'all for tuning in. Shout out to Victory. Great interview, Mike. Drew Johnson said, great show, Philly Mike. Gator said, hurt fanboys are tripping. Showing up said, Smitty would have had 1K if they didn't take him out the last game of the regular season. That is true. But I wanted him to get it with the 16 games, right? Just to see that. Because now we're never going to know, right? The last receiver to have 1,000 yards in 16 games was Jeremy Maclin. But I agree with you, showing up 215. He would have got it because he was eating early against the Cowboys. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, meat was left on the bone via Jalen Hurts. So we're going to have to talk about that. John Jones said this is it for Howie Roseman. If he doesn't hit it on the draft, he's gone. I agree there, definitely. Brian Westbrook was my guy. Hey, listen, I have had a conversation with Brian Westbrook, but he kind of left me on ghost mode then. You know what I mean? I tried to get Brian Westbrook on the show. Almost had him. You know what I mean? Listen, if you follow your boy on Twitter at Philly_Mike25, so y'all can help your boy out by liking and posting and tagging. When I tag somebody like Brian Westbrook up in there, y'all can show love and show him that, hey, why these people talking? They want me to get on the show. I'm gonna get on the show. Mad Hatter said, would you trade Ojabu, Burks, and Dean for Wilson? I know that's what you're trying to say, right? But he's saying Ojabu, Burks, Dean, plus Slay, and another first-round pick. That's what Colin Coward said. Here's the thing. I would give 2 first-round. Listen, if Russell Wilson said to us that he would open his trade clause with us, right? If that was a possibility, I would consider giving maybe 2 first this year and 1 next year. Maybe. But listen, I hate thinking of things that I don't think are possible at this time. Russell Wilson, to me, is still a top-tier quarterback. And when he did have a down year last year, it was partly due to the broken finger. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's hard to say what I would do until I'm in a situation. But Russell Wilson will always be – I would always give a consideration to a Russell Wilson deal because it's Russell Wilson. Victory said Russ is not the move. He can't carry a team no more. Need to think about him coming here. No need to think about it. How he realizes that he got pressure on him and drafts playmakers. Got to have that. Need that big-time linebacker. Got to have it. Please, God, give us the big-time linebacker. We need it. As much as we need a 1,000-yard receiver, because it's been too long. It's been longer. We need that linebacker. Philly Mike, what up? Keep Hurts and build a defense, linebacker, safety. That is exactly what Clay Harbor said. But, hey, shout out to you. Do we got 100 likes? Do we got 100 likes on here? Let me know if we got 100 likes. Let me know if we got 100 likes. We falling short. We need 8 more likes. We need 8 more likes. Can we get it? Can we get it? Mr. 89 said Wilson wouldn't want to be in Philly. He does seem like a guy who wouldn't be built for the city. 2 times said we need a linebacker. I agree with you 100,000 million billion percent. We need 8 more likes. I got to get up out of here. We had Clay Harbor on. We talked about Clay Harbor saying Devonta Smith's not a superstar. We put the context around it. Rewatch it if you want to hear it. He was also on The Bachelor. He played with Mike Vick, Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin. Glad to have him on. 100 clips, but we not from New York, though. That's what it is. Shout out to my guy, Witch King. He already know the deal. That's what we say in the Sixer play-by-plays. And also, Eagle Nation, if underneath the green, you got a little bit of red and blue, if you got a little bit of red and blue underneath the green, meaning the Sixers, I'm going to be live for the play. Y'all know I do the play-by-play. Some of y'all don't like the Sixers. I understand that. But James Harden is coming to town. Not to town, but James Harden. He'll be in Minnesota already draining threes. We're going to talk about it tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Until next time, Ice Ice Baby in the building. Appreciate y'all. 100 clips. But we from Philly. We out.